Hello, everybody. It's great to see all of you here. Thank you for joining us here at Extreme Hangout. So today's session will follow the theme of local to global youth perspective. Minsa, what does that mean to you?
Well, when it comes to the idea of local and global perspective, the first thing that comes to my mind is the ripple effect. So the ideas that started small within your community, kind of going bigger and bigger and bigger and changing the world around you.
I love that explanation, right? I would say the exact same thing, right? How small perspectives, small changes can grow up into a mountain of change, right? And so today in our session, we would like to expand upon the Expand Your Impact conference that happened here in Baku over the past few weeks, where a couple of us local youth changemakers came together and learned from Malati Wisen and Lily Lim. Would you like to give us more?
Expand Your Impact, or known as EYI, is a collaboration between CISA and TISA and YOUTHOPIA, where we were focusing on how we as a student can be a change maker and how we can collaborate together in Baku to make changes in our local environment. This was held in Landmark in the October 30th and 31st, so around like 2 to 3 days, where we had workshops together as well, where we learned about how to identify problems, how to look and observe issues around us, case studies of change makers around the world, and how we can create ideas that are sustainable and long-lasting while making an impact in the world around us.
Another thing that we're able to see was we were able to learn from both our more experienced change makers, right? We were both our more experienced change makers and as well as our young change makers. We had a panel with both artists and activists here locally in Baku who came and showed us how they were able to take their small local change, the thing that they saw was important in their community, and were able to expand it into having a great impact across the country, across the globe. And then we were able to both meet people our age, right? Some people that were just as experienced as us, right? That saw a problem in their own backyard, something that they thought that they really needed to work and help through, and how they changed that, how they added an impact towards that. And they were able to give us incredible insights on how we would be able to go about identifying our issues, how we were able to go around learning from these issues, learning from them, and how we could actually impact and make a change for ourselves.
Yeah, and expanding on that, expand your impact. We were able to go into groups and create our ideas and pitch to ideas and getting feedbacks on our presentation, our ideas, and our developments and goals. And we want to expand that and share with you today with the audience who weren't able to attend EYI, to share our ideas and our perspectives and how we as a students and the next generation moving forward the earth can make an impact in the world. So we want to welcome you with a little videos about the Expand Your Impact.
Please enjoy.
I'm sorry. You guys
I wasn't expecting this. This turned out to be so much fun. I experienced like a lot of emotions, from fear to anxiety to nervousness to happiness. It was great. There were a lot of speakers that I really enjoyed meeting. There were also some familiar faces in terms of speakers.
was super interesting. I've met a lot of people. Now we're thinking about trying to sign more schools or petition. We're trying to make other people kind of agree with us. I'm thinking about going to different clubs, not only in our school but in your school, TISA, and I hope we can collaborate together for the future of our country.
If you are nervous about any kind of opportunity, whether that's an internship or that's a conference such as this, just apply, because it honestly takes one small action and then you'll never know how much you'll enjoy it.
We had some difficulties in the team deciding what topic we want to discuss. And looking back, I realized that I should have been more open-minded and listened to others' ideas. So good, so fun, and so much knowledge.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I hope you guys were able to see. Well, as you can see, we had a huge turnout of young activists, young change makers who really did want to make a change in our local community. And we're really grateful to the founder and co-founder of YOUTHOPIA, Malati Wisen and Lily Lim, who were able to make the trip down here to Baku to really show us how it's done, right? Show us the ropes, show us how we can truly expand our local, how we can expand something local to something very global, right? To expand your impact, as the conference says.
As it says. And before we move on, Joel, do you want to expand more on what YOUTHOPIA is? Because they helped us so much to talk up and learn about this change making around the world.
So YOUTHOPIA is an organization founded by, as I said earlier, Malati Wisen and co-founded by Lily Lim. Their whole goal is to spread the art of change making, how young people around the world can take a problem and expand it, right? How they can really make a change, to showing how adults are not the only people that can really change the world, right? Us youth have a voice, us youth have the capability to truly make an impact around the world. They go around from country to country, from place to place, teaching young people on how to accomplish what they have done themselves, right? They also have an online platform where youth around the world, wherever you may be, can sign up and get mentorship, can get help and guidance on how to really make an impact around the world.
Yeah, and they helped us to come up with projects and ideas to develop together and make a change in the local communities around you. So, would you mind sharing what our agenda for today will be?
So, thank you. So today we'll be following two project pitches that were done during the EYI conference. So as we said, we were taught on how to identify a problem, how to set smart goals, how to really build a skeleton, build a plan on how to tackle our problems. So today we have two pitches that were deemed the best, right? The ones that really shined outside of all the amazing pitches they were. So first we'd like to invite a couple students from Baku International School to give us their pitch. Please give a big round of applause for Nargiz Babayeva, Mohammed Mamadov, Celine Shafayeva, and Yuri. Thank you guys.
Countries?
Across 107 locations.
Oh, okay.
Creating forests with rural schools, rural communities.
Wow.
And besides that, I also run an organization called the Green Pillar, in which we give climate education to young people. And we mobilized 80,000 people across 20 countries.
That's really what the world needs.
Sorry everybody, we're having some technical
Are you studying
issues.
in university or?
Please bear with us.
Which grade?
I'm 12 years old.
All of you have the power of imagination, so please take a second to imagine. Imagine doing your homework in an old room, in a notebook falling apart at the seams because you cannot afford a new one. As you're doing your work, the power shuts off. When you get to school the next day and your teacher asks you why your work is incomplete, you cannot give a satisfying answer. That is the reality for thousands of rural Azerbaijani kids, eager to learn yet constantly challenged by a lack of resources and support.
We believe that our program, Knowledge for All, can bridge this gap in resources for youth in rural Azerbaijan by providing quality education. This program supports SDG number 4, quality education, and promotes academic growth as well as equipping students to address critical challenges such as climate change. By fostering critical thinking and practical problem-solving skills, we're not just shaping the next generation of climate advocates, but also teaching lessons.
In December, we would like to have our first social media outreach and recruit volunteers. January will be our month for our fundraiser, where we want to raise 1,000 manat for projectors and other resources that we would need. February, we would like to have planning sessions for the training for our volunteers. And lastly, by March, we would like to hold our first trial session in a rural school.
Our initial focus is on northern areas, as those are the areas facing climate-related challenges. For this purpose, we have selected schools in areas such as Kusar, Hudat, and Khachmaz as our starting point.
As you may know, Knowledge for All is all about empowering young minds in rural Azerbaijan by providing resources and support. But our vision goes beyond academics.
Just imagine these young minds who have the potential to become future leaders, no longer held back by limited resources and inspired to have sustainable solutions within their communities. Together, we can make this happen. Together, we can make quality education the foundation for meaningful change and a brighter future.
Higher education.
A brighter future.
And knowledge for all. Thank you.
Thank you. It was very interesting to see that you're tackling. Oh no, don't come.
No, guys.
You need to ask. You need to get
So
questions.
cool.
Well, I first want to make comment that I think quality of education is very important, and I'm really inspired by how you're taking actions by focusing on places that will be impacted by the climate change the most. Now, I want to open the stage to the audience, and if the one of the audience have any questions about these projects, would they like to have the opportunity
Just
to ask
one
them?
question that's been burning like in the back of your mind for this. Anybody? Just anything throw out there.
Oh wait, we have one. Okay, hold on. Oh wait, I can go.
Thank you.
So my question is, like, how do you think your project fits like the SMART goals, specifically focusing on the achievable part? Like, what is your first step to achieve like your goal, and why do you think that is impactful?
Okay.
So first of all, to reach our goal, during our tutoring sessions, we're going to focus on the 3 core subjects: math, language, and science, and adjust to every kid's needs. And hopefully, by doing that, we're going to reach our goal.
Thank you. Everybody.
Wait, I think she wants to.
Oh, you still want to ask? I'm so sorry. I jumped the gun.
It's fine. I was going to say, one main step to getting your project into action is social media outreach. So that's what we plan to do initially, and then gather volunteers and go on from there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Give them a huge round of applause for their bravery for coming up here, right? And being able to share their speech. Now we'd like to invite the next group of people. Again, thank you guys so much for coming up here and giving us your speech. Right. Thank you. So our next, as you can see, right, these group of people that were at the EYA conference, they really took in what Melati and Lily had to say, and all the panelists that were there. They really absorbed what they had to say and took it to heart, right? And as you can see, they're the fruit of their labor, right? It's still not there yet, but hopefully one day we can truly see their impact in the world. So now I'd like to invite some students, Nurjan and Camilla, please come up onto the stage and give us your pitch. Thank you very much. Everybody give them a huge round of applause.
Good afternoon,
fellow changemakers. It is an honor to stand before you today. My name is Kamila Vakilova and I'm here with my friend and co-presenter.
Hello, my name is Nurcan Bagrzadeh and today I'm excited to share with you a project that Camila, my team, and I have started working on.
Today we'll explore how job scarcity, especially for single parents, is connected to climate change and how we can address this challenge in Azerbaijan.
Can everyone close their eyes for a moment? Imagine your child standing right in front of you asking for just one simple toy. You promise, if I pass the interview, you will get it. You come home empty-handed, no job, no hope, and no toy. You fight for these kind of comforts every single day for you and your child. But it's so hard. Your life is a constant struggle for dignity and safety. Job scarcity affects around 400 million people around the world and around 600,000 people in Azerbaijan. It's a crisis by itself, but one which is worsened by climate change.
Climate change isn't just about the environment, it also affects the economy. Disasters like floods and wildfires destroy homes, houses, businesses and jobs, making jobs harder to find. Farming, one of the hardest hit areas, struggles as resources run low, making it harder to find jobs. People moving to cities for work overcrowd them, making job competition even tougher. And yes, this is another speech about climate change. I know you will have heard many, but now is the time, not just to speak, but to act, to protect our planet and its people.
As teenagers, we know we might not be taken seriously, but that won't stop us. We plan to deliver training programs for unemployed single parents to make them better prepared to find, secure, and succeed in their careers.
Join us in making this a reality. Help by sharing our platform, connecting us with sponsors, and sharing our world to expand our network. Your support will help us expand our network and connect single parents with the opportunities and the training that they need.
Together, we can make a real difference, empowering families, showcasing workers, and creating a network that changes lives. The change starts here, and it starts with us.
And again, lift those left behind with jobs and hopes for their lives.
Together we rise.
Thank you so much. I love your presentation. I personally feel the last comment, together we rise, kind of resonate with all of us, as these changes make an impact when we do it all together. Now, again, I want to open this floor for the audience. And does anyone have a question for these two young ladies about their projects? Do you want to ask another question? Okay.
So my question is, how do you think your project is connected to climate change specifically, and which SDG goals are you focusing on?
So, as we mentioned, climate change affects and intersects our problem. When there is a flood or a wildfire, it may destroy houses, businesses, and jobs, which will reduce the opportunities of jobs for other people. It may destroy someone's home and make a family in need of another job to provide for their families and support their home and their children. So we want to support this kind of families by providing them training, by providing them with opportunities that can help them get a job and provide for themselves and their children.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your response, and let's give a round of applause for these people. Thank you so much for sharing your project. It was very meaningful, and I think everyone was very inspired by your speech. Thank you.
So now that we were able to show you a little bit of what we managed to accomplish during the EYI conference, I'd like to now invite some of our young activists, young changemakers onto the floor. Can we please give a huge round of applause for Inji Abdullayeva, Maya Aliyeva, Proceeding Singh, and Yusuf Karimli. Okay.
You can, maybe Maya, you can come here so that you will.
On the names, yeah. Okay.
Well, anyway, as we introduced before, these are the young change makers who are making an impact in their local environments and expanding it to the world. Let's give them a round of applause for them again.
So, I think we'd like to start this off with a little bit of an icebreaker. I think starting from here, moving on that way. Could all of you, in one word, explain what, in your mind, you see the state of the world today?
Fabulous question, I must say. You know, in one word, describing the state of the world, I would say, it's actually pretty mixed, but I would say today in the world, one way is extreme, because we are facing extreme of everything. You know, extreme of climate, extreme of all sorts of different problems, extreme of happiness, extreme of goodness, extreme of badness, all sorts of problems into their very extreme ends.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. How about you, Angie?
I would say in one word, quite overwhelming, which sort of ties to the same sentiment. There's so much going on that it's hard to keep track.
I would say devastating, because it's devastating both to youth as a community and adults, and we need to act now.
I'd say probably lost. I think it really, I don't think I have to explain it. I feel like we've lost our purpose, and it kind of goes in with what the other panelists also said: overwhelmed, devastated, extreme.
Yeah. Even though you are change makers who are actually making an impact and inspiring others to make a change together, your choice of words when you're describing the world around us is quite heavy and kind of has a lot of weight into it. This kind of reflects how there's more that needs to be done. That even though there are people who are speaking up, there's a need for more voices, more actions, and more changes. Don't you think that?
Yes, exactly. And I think that's why we're all gathered here, right? To kind of jumpstart that, right? The youth action in a way.
Okay. So let's start with the first question, and it's about the youth in climate action. Youth in climate action. So, in fighting climate change, what does the youth bring to the table? Because youth, being young can be your adversary in trying to voice your opinions into the public. So, as a change maker in climate change, how do you think your youth brings to the table in fighting this phenomena around you? How about proceed? You can go first.
Well, frankly, I believe that youth is a powerful force. And today I don't just stand as a representative of youth, but also children, being 12 years old myself and a change maker, impact creator. And I think we all know that by 2030, that is the year we need to achieve our United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. And by that time, we will be nearly 1.3 billion in number around the world. And that is a huge amount of the population, nearly 17% if I'm not wrong. And with that amount of power, we have a capability in order to make a huge transformation possible. As young people, we have two central things. One is energy and creativity, because we are so energetic and so creative, we come up with ideas beyond imagination. Because we don't make normal things possible. We believe that if we can imagine it, we can do it. That is a potential that we have that is incredibly vital. As well as the fact that as young people, we are becoming increasingly aware, but we need to ensure that things like climate anxiety and eco-anxiety do not just depress or deprive our impacts or effects towards what we do for the planet, but rather we learn from it and work towards catalyzing change and also making impact go from linear to exponential.
Right, and sticking with you, this isn't your first COP, right?
Yes,
so
my second one, yes.
Can you tell us how it feels to be back here in this space, right? And how, what you see is different from the past ones you've been, right?
Well, COP28, that was in Dubai, UAE, where I was there as one of the youngest delegates present. This time, there is a change in position. This time, I'm the youngest head of delegation present at COP29 because I'm representing my very own organization that is now also UN accredited. Besides that, if we talk of changes in terms of a policy level, there has been an inclusion of the NCQG. For those who don't know, it is the new collective quantifiable goal. NCQG is designed for developing countries to get good amount of climate finance. And at the end of the day, COP is Conference of Parties is all about climate finance, funding, opportunities for negotiations and policies. And that is a huge transformation. Besides that, what I'm also trying to promote this time, because last time I was a speaker with UNDESA, UNFCCC, what I have realized is we all talk about phasing out fossil fuels, we all talk about mitigation, carbon. I think that is incredibly needed. But what we forget while mitigation is adaptation. We forget how important it is to restore our land, our forests, our oceans, our soil that are huge carbon sinks. And that is something that I'm trying to do through my nature-based solution projects and something that I'm promoting and pressing on more this time. Besides that, I've seen an increase in child and youth involvement, and I hope that it keeps going on.
Thank you.
Sticking to the child and youth improvement, we also have other changemakers making impact in their world. Maybe you can, Inji, Yusuf, and Maya, you can tell about your little project to the audience today.
Okay, I'll start. I'm Inji Abdullaeva. I'm currently a student at the International School of Azerbaijan and also the co-founder of Students for Farmers, which was actually a mandatory school project that I started with 3 of my best friends a couple years back. But it's since expanded with the help of Youthtopia and expand your impact to other schools in Europe, such as the International School of Tashkent in Uzbekistan. And the aim of our project was to bring light to a sort of overlooked issue, which is the agricultural sector in Azerbaijan. We felt that many people here sort of just consume their food without really caring to know where it came from or the trouble that it took to grow that produce, to export that, to bring it to Baku. So we collaborated with Zainal, who's the founder of Farm to Table, and we brought some products from regional farmers in Azerbaijan to Baku, sold them, raised a lot of money and funds for them, and also raised awareness about how important it is to know where your food comes from and to support local farmers.
Thank you. And so, sticking with you for a minute, the conference that we're here for, like COP29, is all about climate change, sustainability, and all of that, right? But can you expand upon what local projects that we do here, right, that you know of, that are student-led, that are youth-led, that try and tackle this very same issue?
Yeah, of course. There are so many, and many of them will be highlighted today at the panel and at the pitches earlier. But we also have a lot outside of this little presentation. For example, in our school, there's this initiative that was started many, many years ago by a 5th grade student called Meatless Monday, which is just the idea of not serving meat in the cafeteria every Monday to cut back on our carbon footprint and to sort of promote the idea of eating green. And that's just an example of how something that started off as a small project can grow into something that became a huge staple in our community, with so many people fighting to bring it back after COVID-19. And I think Maya can provide a few more examples, because she's worked on quite a few projects in our school.
I think we can just move on, because we'll get to that.
Okay, sure.
But continuing with the first question, maybe Yusuf and Maya, you can tell about your change-making journey as well to the audience.
I'm Yusuf, and I'm studying at Landau School, and we have founded a society that brings a change to all children in Azerbaijan. And collaborating with organizations like the International School of Azerbaijan and the ministries, we tried to implement not only the ideas, but also solutions of all and any children, not only in Azerbaijan now, but also of the whole world. So we started with just a team of 7 people. Now our anniversary was in July 2024. We're now 1.5-year-old organization called Uşaklarımıza Öğreday, Let's Teach Our Children. And we're now over 100 people from over 25 countries. And what we tried to do, we organized over 25 events. And the events were, despite the focus to children, we tried to involve STEM education. We tried to educate them on what is not usually educated at schools, And since we're at COP29, I'll talk about sustainable part of our project, is where now we're thinking maybe we, as the youth community, should develop an ESG strategy for our organization. Even though we're young, we are capable of anything with support and with, as UN SDG 17 says, partnerships for goals. So if we have those partnerships, I think a pretty efficient development of ESG strategy might lead to a more sustainable world. However, before this strategy kicks off, what we're doing is we're using bottles instead of plastic. We've started to fundraise campaigns to build trees with the Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources. And then we're planning to do much more ecological initiatives on that matter and bring youth together at such conferences as COP29 and for them to be able to act to the public so that we and companies can react and actually youth would be able to bring a change to this world.
Right, and as we've heard, right, you've done so much in your pursuit for this, but obviously activism can sometimes slow down, right? You can hit roadblocks and challenges. Can you tell us a bit more on how you've dealt with these and what strategies you've learned to help combat with any issues that might arise when you're...
I think that youth, one of the most recent challenges, not recent, but overall, the challenge that youth face is trust. Trust of companies, trust of people, and authorities. So we started to gain trust. What we did our best to represent us in a way that companies see us as real change makers, not just having one project in our minds, but having a journey. Just like COP29, it's not just an event, but it's a process. So at Uçaklarımızı our organization is a process. It's not just an event. And we're not doing it for the sake of organizing events or for the sake of having children there, but for the sake of making these children even better in change like us. And what I would advise to youth who are planning to open organizations or who are managing and how we dealt with this challenge is establishing efficient departments. So departments are something that are really required. Sometimes as youth, we think that we're capable of managing everything at once, but we are not. We are capable of anything, but if we work in a team. And this is what we focused at our organization. We started distributing tasks efficiently. We had our PR team, communications team, HR, supply resources and everything. And momentum is something that actually reflects on the experiences, because if you have this momentum of organizing events, if you are doing that, or if you are empowering children, if you're continuing to do that on a stable phases, then you are getting experience that is required to upscale. And upscaling is also really important here because we're getting to a larger audience. And previously we were like floating in a sea, where we were exploring a sea. Now we're exploring an ocean. This is what I call. And I think that we actually, by distributing everything efficiently and working in a team, can bring a change to this world.
Okay, thank you. That was pretty interesting how you're distributing, and kind of working together as a team. Now I want to move to you, Maya. Sorry for a little delay. But can you talk about your project? And since it really resonates with climate literacy and climate education, can you talk about how learning about climate change, being aware of it, kind of make a change in the world?
Well, hi everyone. I'm also a student at TISA. I'm a 12th grade student, and my initiatives have been much more local. Yusuf just talked about huge, like grand projects, and mine is much more focused. What I did was I am the founder of the Green Conversation Club. It was a project that I relaunched in 2021, and essentially what it is it's a club where we gather, and it's usually local students, so like the Baku Eco Scouts, I can see some of them here, and we develop our conversational English. But at the same time, I think it's so much more than that, because we're also looking at really important climate issues, and just generally we're trying to advocate more for sustainability. So for example, what we do is we'll talk about important issues like water scarcity, food waste, GMOs. I think there's such a wide range of topics, and I love this club. I think it's so fun, and what I always aim to do as a change maker is develop environmental literacy. I think that it's super important, and I think that it's essential that the younger generation, they're more eco-conscious. And I think, relating back to your question, what can we do to kind of see that change in schools, right? I think, so I know it's very different for all of us because we all go to different schools, but for me, we have several subjects where we do that. We have like interdisciplinary subjects, so we'll talk about climate change and we'll talk about other sustainability issues, but I just don't feel like we're getting any kind of link with real world affairs. So sure, I know what this is and I know how this happens, but where can I see this? Like, and I think that it's really important that our school curriculums, like that one, we actually do talk about several environmental issues and we talk about it in each subject because I think it's super relevant to all of them. But I think that it's really important that at the same time we're getting a real perspective and we're seeing this happen, or how can I say this? Like we're getting real examples of these things happening around the world. Yeah, that's me.
I kind of felt that as well. I've read about climate fatigue a few days ago, and they said that it happens because we don't feel it that it's happening right now. We feel it theoretically, and it's being told that the Earth is getting hotter, but we don't see the real life example, and that's what makes us kind of not really be able to move on to the momentum of actions.
And it's interesting, right? Because we're living in such a hyper-connected society, and yet we're experiencing this kind of fatigue. I think it's, I mean, it's a really unique age and time where we're surrounded by like constant exposure to global information, news, and social issues, and yet it's still like we're still I wouldn't say unaware of it, but maybe we're not taking as much initiative as we should, and I think that's why all four of us have such like heavy words with which we describe the world right now. So
yeah, that kind of shows that.
And so you spoke about how we see so much, yet there's kind of a lack of wants towards action, right? And why do you think that is necessarily? Like, what is there that is causing such a mute response to such a huge problem that all of us here have gathered together, right, for COP29 to discuss?
I think, honestly, it's kind of a paradox, right? Because we're so hyper-connected, we have this kind of exposure, but I think that's what leads to what Minsa was describing, the fatigue, right? Because it's almost like we've become desensitized to it. It's a huge issue, and I know that we all probably feel it because we see things every day. I mean, on all social media platforms, and yet it's like, it's too much, right? It's like, and also, I think a big part of it is, I know we're here as young climate change makers, right? But sometimes it's almost like we feel helpless, right? Because I know we're here, we've created change, but some people don't have the confidence to do that. I'm sure you guys, Yusuf, maybe you can chime in about that, right? About young change makers maybe needing that kind of push.
Yeah, we definitely do, because when we're stepping into a new environment, into a new challenge, then we definitely need this support, guidance, partnership, or something that would guide us. Because we're not sure, we're not confident. Yet there are individuals who are confident and pursuing the steps, and if not the confidence in each of us here, we wouldn't start something. So we did something, and this confidence leads to the partnership, to communication, to reaching out. And actually, in my opinion, referring to what you said, I think that networking is a real heart of this all. Because if we as youth network, if we talk, if we get to know new people, new societies, including youth as ourselves, usually people think that networking is networking with high-level people, adults, or representatives of companies, but no. Networking with youth, children, the ones who do not have same abilities or opportunities as us, actually might bring a huge change, because yeah, one idea is great, but two are much better.
Okay, now I want, before we move on, I just want to ask Persidi, because you have been selected as the change maker itself, and you must have seen a lot of climate activism as a student. So what do you feel about this then?
Well, could you specify more on your question?
Maybe you can specify the question for Persidi. Okay, well, okay. I want to, as an actual climate activist who actually been to COP28 before and now the Blue Zone, talking about a climate change and how we can act as a youth. How do you feel that, why do you think is the key, first question, what do you think is a key role in making students kind of build up together to create a momentum? And second, how can we sustain that as a student?
All right, brilliant questions. So let me actually deep dive a little bit into what I do and how I started. I think that would present itself as a brilliant case study to answer your question. Well, from always, I've really been a nature lover, admiring the rustling of leaves, the buzzing of bees, and the waves of seas. But then at the age of 4, in 2016, for all those who don't know, I'm from India, the southern part of India, Tamil Nadu, and we have a coastline of nearly 1,076 kilometers. And being from a place like that, I've always been really connected to nature and the planet. But then at the age of 4 in 2016, when Vada cyclone hit the shore of Tamil Nadu, I was so disheartened because I was just 4 and treating trees like my friends. When I saw the impact, I decided I wanted to do something for our planet, and I started participating in multiple different tree plantation drives. And after participating in that and doing it for 2 good years, learning about indigenous tree plantation, not doing monoculture, connecting with experts, villagers, farmers, foundations, really understanding in the depth of it, at the age of 6, I said I wanted to create my own initiative, and I founded Prasiddhi Forest Foundation. Now, we have planted more than 150,000 trees across 107 different locations, and I do this with rural communities, rural schools, in vulnerable spaces, to also empower marginalized communities and to motivate young people in order to make change happen. Besides that, I also work on agroforestry, lake restoration, and different projects. Now, how it connects with the question you have asked is that initially it all just started with a simple drive to do something for nature as a 4-year-old girl. From there it started, and slowly I transformed it into a mission, into an initiative, into a foundation. Later I also founded the Green Pillar, that is a social enterprise which was launched in G20 that focuses on climate education courses for young people. So answering your first question, it all starts with a simple motivation. And we do not need to forget that. We do not need to simply leave it that way, because it can be the start of a massive transformation, not just for us, but for the betterment of our planet and the betterment of our future. That is incredibly important. The second question, I think, is a lot more vital. That is how to survive when it comes to such situations. I completely agree. So going back in the story, just imagine a 6-year-old girl going to different people, going to different local authorities, school principals, headmasters, all kinds of stakeholders. Just imagine, and asking them that, hey, I want to do an indigenous tree plantation for young people, that to a fruit tree plantation, so that I can support biodiversity. What do you think their reply would have been?
I think
you're
okay,
still too young. You're
yes.
still too young.
Yes.
How are you going to do it? How are you going to sustain it? How
Yes,
I think
exactly. And I don't think it's wrong, because of course it's land and everyone wants to be sure about the decision they are taking. But you know, I didn't let that demotivate myself at all. I work on a margin of 1%. So if I go to 100 people, I expect 1 person to turn out. That is what I do, and that is what helps me to survive better, because the lesser the expectation that you have, whatever you get, you're more satisfied in it, more encouraged, more motivated in order to make that happen. From there it started, and even now, every day I face challenges, be it going to events and representing myself as a young global leader, because being a G20 national speaker, going to places where young people, being speakers, or being over there presenting the future isn't normal. Everyone is adult. Still, I go there with the hope of the 1.4 billion people we are going to be, and the hope to represent our power in the way we are making change happen. So my message for other young people is 3 things. First is, these 3 things are incredibly needed, that to have a sense of hope, a sense of reality, and a sense of responsibility. Because I think without this, there isn't a future that we can pave. Because sometimes we focus so much on sense of reality, we completely forget hope. And I completely understand, because today as we face this Anthropocene, the geological age in which human activity has been dominant. And I have read statistics myself that by 2040, 1 in 4 children will be living in areas with extreme water shortage. That is the future we see, and it's not much to look up to, right?
Yeah.
And for anyone. But we really need to have hope. We need to believe in ourselves, because hope is a powerful tool, no matter how much we underestimate it or undermine it. And finally, responsibility. You can talk about it, you can hope about it, you can know about it, but until you do something on ground, it isn't going to make a real difference.
Yeah.
And that is what matters. So I'd just like to say that believe in the power of a small 4mm seed that has the potential to become a 400 feet tall tree. We all over here are like that. I'm so inspired by all of your initiatives. You know, Inji, Yusuf, Maya, how you're making real-time difference on ground to motivate more young people to join this chain of change.
Yeah, thank you. And to touch on what you said earlier in your speech, it was how I think all of us youth can really understand how sometimes you don't really get the recognition or the ability to do what you want to do, right? Always being disregarded in some way or another on either your age or your experience. But as you can see, so many of us here, right? All of us young, all of us still having the drive to be able to impact the world around us, right? In any way, shape or form. And I think one of the more powerful tools that we can really utilize is media. And Inji, can you give us a bit of an insight on how you personally use media in your fight, right? In your attempt to have an impact all across the world?
So first of all, I think something that's really becoming more increasingly important is media literacy, because a lot of the news that we consume comes from social media, comes from, you know, influencers and everything, and it's important to know whether what you're reading is correct, true, whether it's a valuable source that it's coming from. So I think that's something that's really important that all of us should strive to understand better. But as for how we should be using media to, you know, spread the message, I think something that's really beneficial is using what's trending to spread the message, because it's sort of a really easy way to draw people in, especially the younger generations, but it also keeps your message strong and gets it across in a way that's, you know, engaging and everything. So I think I've seen so many brands, so many organizations, you know, follow the trends as they've been coming out, and it's really helped their image and it's helped their following, and I think that's something really important, even though it might sound a little silly, but it is really important to tailor and cater to what people are interested in. So that's a really important way.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I think that being trendy and kind of capturing the attention of the students, especially because we're young, and our focus span is very short.
Exactly.
Right, cater to your audience, right?
Catering to the audience, knowing your audience, that is a key aspect for it. Thank you so much for coming to and answering these questions today as a young changemaker. I'm sure that we all had something that we can take in heart of. Now, before we leave, I just want to ask like a very quick question where you can answer it in just one word. Before we did the panel discussion, we asked about how you feel about the world right now. How do you, then, now before we leave the stage here, can you give me one word how you feel about what our future could be like?
Yeah, one word that you want to feel in the future, right? Something that you're hoping to achieve through your projects, through your goals, through your impact.
Just one short word. It's
You guys make it very hard, you know, you just have like one word. Describe the world of all these people in one word. Okay, interesting question. Well, would anyone like to go first?
I could go first.
Yeah?
Maybe.
I need some time to think.
It's kind of a very difficult question.
I think the word that I would want to be feeling is proud. I want to look at our global leaders and look at our young change makers and feel that we're genuinely making a difference and things are improving and coming along better. So that's the word that I would choose.
Okay. How about you, Yusuf?
Are you ready yet? Or do I go? First city. I would say unconditionally youth-led. I would really love to see youth not only on stage, acting, presenting their ideas and solutions, but also in governments, companies, on the actual stages of organizations like UNFCCC, if we were talking about COP29. And yeah,
Maya?
I think what Prasidi said really resonated with me when she was talking about hope. So I would say hopeful. I think that hopeful or inspired, I mean, I think it's super important that the youth never lose that, and that we're never, as you said, like tired, unaware, unable to really drive forward with what we want to do, with what we're motivated by. So.
Okay, thank you. Now, Prasidi.
Yes. So after a bit of brainstorming, I think the appropriate word is resilient. I want the world to be resilient because everything in this world is so connected. For instance, if we lose coral reefs, we lose fish first, then fishers, and then entire economies. And I think it's the same in climate. You know, it's the same in impact. It's the same in young people.
Yeah.
You get inspired from other people. I'm sure so many young people are getting inspired from the three of you in order to make change happen. It's the same thing, and at the end of the day, the goal is to make our planet more resilient in terms of sustainability and in terms of climate. So I want a more climate resilient future where all of us together are safe, happy, and equitable.
Okay.
Thank you
for your wonderful answers, and I think that we are all very inspired.
Yeah, I hope we can start that cycle of inspiration that leads to impact from today's conference. Well, I hope you all join me in giving them a huge round of applause for coming out here, their bravery and everything. Thank you all. So, and I hope all of you have had the same amount of goosebumps that I have, right? Of seeing these amazing young changemakers, young activists that came here today to this stage to express, to show their resolve, to show their impact, right? How they want to really make a change in the world, how they want to impact. And I think it's an amazing opportunity to be here, right? And could you give us more, as an ending part of this whole session, could you explain a bit of the artwork that the crowd saw as they were walking in, right?
I'm pretty sure you saw this beautiful art piece about with blues and browns when you were entering this Expand Your Impact Hall. It is actually a student.
Hey, stay there.
Oh yeah, we need to take pictures, guys. It is actually a student-led, student-led with few of the students, and the artist called Inara Nashiri, who gathered around few days before the EYI to paint a beautiful masterpiece that you see in the wall today. It is called the Reforestation to Deforestation, where we highlight the process of the reforestation, so the trees growing back into the forest, and deforestation, where plants are destroyed and there is nothing but soils and rocks and hard stones. And this cycle, because you can see that this is the art piece is a spiral of going back and forth from green to brown again and again. It shows a cycle of life, and cycle that no matter how devastating the life could be, it is a constant cycle and it goes on and on, which creates resilience, as Christine has mentioned before. Now, we want to take a moment to share this video with you, which it highlights the best aspects of the process where we collaborated together as a young change makers to make this beautiful art piece. So if you can. like you said, this shows the reforestation and deforestation. So maybe before you leave the extreme hangout zone today, you can take a look and kind of feel inspired how this cycle is constant and ongoing, and we as a student, not only as a student but as members of the humanity, can take part of this video, this art and the cycle of change. Now to wrap up the session,
I'd like to thank you all again for joining us here. I hope you are all able to see the resolve, the passion behind everybody's eyes here today, and those who participate in the artwork, that anybody can make an impact, anybody can change the world, right? Anybody can be a change maker, so to say. It doesn't matter what your goal is, what you want to tackle, what problem that you deem necessary to fight, that we can all really make an impact on anything, whether it be small, big, here or there. Everywhere we can do anything to change the world, right? And I think that's why we're all gathered here for COP, right?
Yeah.
And I think with that, again, right, thank you all, and please give yourselves a round of applause for sitting through this amazing session. Thank you all.
Together we can